That goddamn American Pickle.
Yeah, so you told me like right before we started recording that you had just watched that, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't even realize that it was out yet.
I think it just came out today.
Yeah.
Today, we're recording Thursday, July, August.
Time has no meaning. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter, but yeah, I mean it's
how was it? I literally I feel like I was reading the first press releases about the movie coming out like 2 months ago, and all of a sudden it's out. And what's it on? Apple? You said?
No. I don't pay for Apple. Are you kidding me? I don't have Apple TV.
Right.
Can't have it. It's on HBO Max, baby. The God.
Oh, of course.
It's on that God shit.
The fucking
HBO Max. The God.
The one
shit.
thing I don't have access to. Because
how do you not have HBO Max? You have HBO though, right?
It's not on Roku. That's the thing.
Oh.
They haven't made. I'm betting it's a friggin' copyright and legal quagmire, because I think a lot of the things they can put on HBO Max, like I know they put all the DC stuff on HBO Max, and I'm sure DC is worried about them cannibalizing their content. So there's probably stipulations about it not being on Roku. But that also just leads me to believe like things like that, like DC Universe or whatever, will eventually get bought out by HBO, and that'll dissolve. And I feel like all these smaller streaming companies, or a lot of them, are going to get gobbled up in the streaming wars we're starting to find ourselves in the middle of.
Well, there you go. I mean, from your mouth to God's ears, that's I'm tired of playing cat and mouse and jumping around and why can't some corporate overlord just lord over all of them, But I'm sure. Well, then we'll hate that.
Give it give it about 6 months.
Yeah, but it's okay, man. It's Simon Rich wrote it. I've liked most of his stuff. Man Seeking Woman, I really like.
It's been almost 15 seconds since Josh texted Laura, and still no response.
By this point, Laura must have seen the text, even if she was in the bathroom or something. And yet, the silence continued.
Have to save face. We have to pretend we were just kidding. Text JK.
Hey, get him out
Text JK.
Get him out of here.
Oh my. What? The things, the little bubbly things.
She's writing back. She's responding.
Oh, it's the Man Seeking Woman guy. I used to love that show.
Yeah, this is the guy. He looks like he's like 12 years old.
Yeah,
but he's like 36, I think, and he like wears he's like a child who dresses like an old man. Have you ever seen him? Like if you Google Simon Rich, whoever you're listening, if you're listening to this, Google Simon Rich right now. He started writing for SNL when he was like, I want to say like 19 years old or something like that. I mean, like 2007. So think about it. We graduated high school in 2005.
Whoa.
He's 2 years older than us.
Yeah.
So maybe what was he? 22? I'm not great at math. He
looks
super young.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, he looks like he's still like, if I pulled him over and I was a cop, I would assume that he has.
I mean, he's gonna be carded until the end of time.
Damn, that sucks.
As he, opens the door for his Lamborghini Countach, he will explain that he is not a child that stole this car from his dad.
Yeah, he's got a Doogie Howser syndrome or something. Like,
there's great he's at like premieres and stuff, and he's got like a hot blonde actress wife or something, and it looks like there's a child.
Yeah, this is my babysitter.
It looks like right. It looks like Weird Science, where it's like, here's Wyatt with Kelly LeBrock or something.
I grew her in my lab last night or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. But so I usually like his stuff. It's usually fine. It's okay, man. It's a weird movie in that it tries to do a few different interesting things, like right in the first 10 minutes, where it's like, hey, let's establish that, and if you're unfamiliar with the plot, basically a man in 1919 in Eastern Europe, somewhere close to Russia, is basically kind of living a meager, horrible, like ditch digging existence, and manages to, convince a woman to marry him. and they, do the whole immigrant American dream, thing. They come to America. He gets a job in a pickle factory where it's his job to literally smash rats with a hammer just to keep the rodent population in check. And basically, I don't want to spoil any of the plot details, but basically, this is a major.
I mean, it's in the trailer.
He finds himself.
Right?
Yeah, it's in the trailer, right? But he basically falls into a big vat of pickle brine with a bunch of other pickles, and they seal him up. And the way they film it, it's like he kind of seamlessly, he falls in, and then it gets sealed, and then the plant gets, or the factory gets condemned, and then it just gets abandoned. And then, 100 years later, kids, it's an abandoned warehouse somewhere in Brooklyn, and kids kind of stumble upon it, looking for something. They flew a drone into the factory, and they're looking for their drone. And they open him up, and then boom, he pops out, and he's alive. And so there's a great scene where they kind of hold a press conference with him, and scientists are trying to explain. And there's a great one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is kind of the press corps is going like, how do you expect us to believe this, that he was preserved? And then the scientist goes, well, let me explain. And then it breaks the fourth. Seth Rogen's character starts narrating, and he goes, the scientist explained it to the journalists. They were all incredibly satisfied with his response. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they go, wow, okay, that makes perfect sense. They just completely kind of make fun of the fact that it's preposterous.
Yeah, bother explaining. Yeah.
Right. So but it was great. It was like, just turn your brain off.
Right.
Just go with the plot. It's stupid, but just we're all having fun.
Right.
And then it gets, so that is the movie you're introduced to. Like, oh, that's what it's going to be kind of a weird, like, a man from 1919 from
it's going to be a man out of time, literally.
Right. Kind of, whoa, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like a time traveling, and then it takes weirder turns.
Does it have like a unnecessary romantic subplot does it kind of like turn into a different movie?
No, I don't think there is any romance or subplot. It's a buddy film at its core, but it's like a weird like rivalry film. Like I don't want to get too much into it, but basically, Seth Rogen plays both roles, and he is the older he's the he plays God, I can't remember, Herschel, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. Herschel, who's the man from 1919, and then he plays his great grandson, one great, who's like a app developer trying to sell a mobile app, and he plays both roles. And then they get into this weird kind of, they get into there's a conflict. I don't want to spoil it, but they get into a conflict based on Herschel's actions, and then regular present day Seth Rogen, I'll call him, because that's basically just what he is. Kind of gets upset with them. They get into a fight. They kind of break apart.
You have no wife, no children, no friends, no job. You need help. I'm fine.
Herschel starts selling pickles. It has this great kind of initial phase of the story where there's no way this man can possibly succeed 100 years in the future.
Idea. They start a pickle business. That's a very stupid idea, Herschel. It will become success. Wow. Ooh, very pungent.
Yeah, that's straight from the devil.
It's that old world mentality of like, if you work hard, you can do anything. And I thought that was kind of where this was going to go. Like, pull yourself up by the bootstrap, man. You just get in, work hard, have some ingenuity, stick-to-itiveness. Maybe it was like a lesson of like, hey, let's look back to our ancestors of how they managed. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy for them, but a lot of them came here. We all have like, my uncle came here with $2 in his pocket, and then 30 years later, he's president of some company, right? But like, no one ever explains like, well, what the fuck happened in those 30 years, dude? You know what I mean? Like, how did it actually happen?
Right.
Where do they stay? Where do they live? Like, so it kind of goes into like, he's literally dumpster diving. He's finding jars. He's using rainwater to make pickle. I mean, the whole thing. It's easy. It's interesting how they kind of build the first act into he's in Williamsburg, which is one of the most insane places I've ever kind of semi been around, lived. I used to live in Queens, but we'd go into Williamsburg. You and I have walked through Williamsburg with we've done the whole thing in Williamsburg, walked around. And, but so he's basically, he's in a perfect situation because, he's standing, he has a pickle cart basically, and he gets he gets basically just discovered by the Williamsburg population.
Yeah, is he like the artisanal pickle guy or something?
Right, yeah. Exactly. Oh, wow. And he's like, please bring back the jar when you're done. And they're like, wow, he reclaims his jars. Like, wow, it's all vegan. It's all natural. It's all rainwater. Wow. Like, they're so up his ass about how rustic it is.
Right. And he probably blends in with the beard and all that sort of stuff too, right?
Right. I mean, there's a great, it's very short, but like a scene where like a, hipster suspenders dude is like enamored with his outfit.
Nice,
like, wow,
nice
where'd
hat,
you
man.
get that? Wow, that's nice hat. Where, where'd you get that? So that's where you kind of think the whole thing's going, and then it just gets like weird and, kind of like just weird and like uncomfortable in a lot of ways because they kind of, it's not really about, Herschel teaching Seth Rogen some life lessons about how he could kind of improve his life, and then he sells his app and he becomes successful because of the lessons his great. That's where you think it's going to go, and you kind of want it to go there, and then it just kind of like, like the younger one gets jealous and they become in conflict, and there's like, it's you start thinking like, oh, you know what, if you could talk to your great grandfather or great grandmother, especially if they were from like another culture, you probably wouldn't want to hang out with them. They'd probably have some ideas about religion and the current
the world today or whatever.
So it's just like, oh yeah, like I guess the moral of the story is like, yeah, everyone who lived 100 years ago was probably pretty terrible, because and it was kind of done in humorous ways and stuff, but you're like, yeah, like I probably wouldn't want to hang out with my 100-year-old relatives if I could. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but it kind of just it kind of like it just takes you out of it. You know what I mean? It's like they basically.
It sounds like it's like kind of a cynical. It sounds like it's a little bit like darker than you would expect.
Yeah, like it's a weird, man. I feel like it went unnecessarily kind of gross and weird, and it just created. And they go like up and down, and where you think like, oh, that was the conflict, the central conflict. He's gotten through it. He's back. Like, oh nope, they do something else to him, and then just it's like it's made worse. So it's I don't know.
Well, the premise sounds cool for. It's like sounds like one of those plots that would be a good premise for a man seeking woman type of episode, but like it sounds like it can't sustain the 2-hour time limit, right? Is that like
no, I mean the third act, I'm like, let's just be done.
Yeah.
Let's can we kind of be done, because they try to go back to some of the original like goofiness that you enjoyed in the first act, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be the tone and the vibe, and then they just by then you're just kind of like,
yeah, it's too messed up.
You're just like, nah, I can't go back to thinking like that. I can't allow you back into my my head like that. So it's kind of I don't know. It's worth a watch. It's interesting. I really enjoyed the first act. Like the first 20 minutes, I was like, wow, this is great. This is gonna be, this is really interesting. It's a fun take. Let's see what happens. And then by the end, you're just like, oh,
make it stop.
Yeah, make it stop. I just it was kind of a shame, because I thought it had a lot of potential, but they just I don't know if they the second and third act to me, I was just like, man, this is kind of a little too heavy. I'll just say, imagine
gets
like,
a little too real.
I don't know, but yeah, they put in plot points like let's get him on Twitter. Let's see what his tweets are gonna be like. And it's like, if you don't like the President Trump's tweets, imagine that times like 1,000.
Right.
Is what 100-year-old Herschel from Central Eastern Europe thinks about like women's rights and stuff like that. Right. So it was just like, oh yeah, I guess, you know, and it's just, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. I don't know. Go check it out if you want. If you have the God HBO Max, stream it up.
Well, I will check.
You got to hit the 7 Cs. It up, but maybe not worth the.
I'll use my free Apple account to check that out, so I can justify actually having it.
Well, there you go. So I mean, yeah, go give it a shot. It's not worth spending money on. If it lands on a free streaming site, go for it. I wouldn't. It's not worth $6 to me. I don't know. But yeah, bummer. I thought it would be fun, but it's fun to a point, and then it kind of stops being fun, and it's just like, ooh.
Yeah, I feel like Seth Rogen, you know, like I still really respect the guy especially for the amount that he outputs, and he's got a pretty good batting average, but like, you know, I feel like, you know, 1 out of 3 movies or projects kind of misses. Like he'll have like 2 really good ones, and then something that's like a little good idea, but not quite as fully thought out. And I don't know if this was, it sounds like it was more, you know, Simon Rich's project, but yeah.
Yeah, he was good in it. I mean, I think he's fine in it, you know? But he's standard kind of, you know, I mean, he's not like, he's not going to give you weird, crazy performances like Jonah Hill, where you're like, holy shit, Jonah Hill, didn't know you had that in you.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like Seth
Yeah,
Rogen.
you know what you're going to get, but
it's like a Bruce Willis, you know? It's kind of, he's kind of Bruce Willis.
But, I mean...
You know, that's what it is. So he's good, he's fine, but it's just, it's weird, man. You never quite get used to hearing him kind of angrily speak in this weird Eastern European, like, accent. It just, you never quite kind of get into it.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway,
we'll wait for the next Rogen masterpiece then.
No, exactly. Yeah.